So, video journal for, I don't even know what today is, Tuesday, October 26th, I think. Big shift in energy, big shift in my own personal realizations. Understanding a lot more about myself and about the energy stream that's basically connecting us all in a lot of ways. And in our minds, in many people's minds, mine before I had my awakening, that we're actually having our own separate experience. We're separate from each other. And having experienced other people's pain physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and knowing it isn't mine, I understand that connection energetically. However, and I've come a long way there. When we're faced with a challenge, or challenging person, or challenging energy even, and the challenge really is somebody that you're close to, somebody that you love, somebody that you do connect with, but then there are times when they're also your challenge. Friction is brought into the mix. And I understand this friction is needed. This is a part of the alchemical process of creating change or creating something new. I do understand this. And I've experienced this, so I understand it to that degree, to having the experiences. But here's what the challenge really lies for us all. When faced with friction, energy that pulls you out of your frequency and into a lower frequency or a stressful tension, the understanding of, and Sadhguru says, carry sandpaper around with you, and every time you experience friction, rub the sandpaper on you. If you don't wake up from that, eventually you're going to walk around with no skin. And I like that analogy because it does feel like a shock sometimes when we're faced with these challenges, this friction. So there is a physical pain that's tied in with it. I also know that this friction is needed for us to continue to awaken to more about ourselves and for change and growth and wisdom. Yeah, it's still hard, but each person, and I know that I handled my challenge or friction very well today, and I'm proud of myself for that. However, I still felt it. I still have some tension in my hips and jaw. I'm working out, but faced with that friction. So when two people are having friction with each other, maybe an argument or a heated conversation or a conversation that just brings your emotions to a heightened level, your energy shifts. And let's say it's not in a good way. We still have to realize that we're as connected as we are, and we're both feeling those feelings. Our perception is different. Our inner narrative is different because our experience is unique to us. Our perception is unique to us individually. So this is where the caveat is in the transmutation or changing that energy for yourself or for both people lie is you can't really talk your way out of this in the moment, because each person has their own experience. You can, if you're conscious enough, to say to each other, okay, let's take a breath, and can I tell you my experience in this, like from my vantage point and my experience, and then vice versa. And that would be a very conscious way of, first of all, kind of ending any kind of friction because you're both feeling it anyway. But it ends the blame game, because we humans tend to point the finger at the other. You did this, and you hurt me, you said this, you did that. And while they may be very true, the storyline from the other person and the other person's perspective and experience is very different. And so we just attack each other when we're pointing the finger and blaming, and it doesn't really solve or resolve anything. And there's no wisdom or growth gained from that. And this is typically the back and forth banter that we human beings do regularly, it seems. I know that years ago I was definitely in that. A lot of times I would find my way out as quickly as I could, but still, because I don't really, well, nobody really likes conflict, and I don't run from conflict. What I don't like about it is my scorpionic temper that can be very overwhelming for both people. And I just don't ever want that to be unleashed. I'm fully aware of it and conscious to it, and I have been my whole life. Anyway, I don't know why I got there. That's my video journal, so I can go wherever I want. Yeah, this is going to be a challenge for the human collective, for us all. How do we resolve friction and conflicts in the moment, or maybe not in the exact moment, but to keep that timeline down to a bare minimum of pain and suffering for either person, and be able to get that lesson and that wisdom and knowledge that's meant for us to have through that friction. Because we do have a lot of challenging astrological transits going on right now, aspects, and Mars is getting ready to go into Scorpio. This is challenging everybody, and emotions are at an all-time high, and everybody's tension. And so it's hard. It's even hard for somebody like myself, who works daily on my energy and my consciousness, and I have a full every day as part of my practice and my journey. I try to just live life too, but I have to be very conscious of what I put myself in and what spaces and places I put myself in, and use discernment, especially during this time of year. Yeah, I do want to be free and just live my life, and I love all of my friends and family, and enjoy engaging with other people. So, how do we protect our energy field and be able to go through the tension and friction with ease and grace, and come out the other end learning more, gaining more wisdom about each other and about ourselves? I feel like it really it requires that communication as soon as possible, even within the friction. Like after the engagement settles, unless it's so heated that you have to remove yourself from each other, then do that. But when you come back to being able to communicate again, that should be the very first thing to communicate, is each person's experience without blame or pointing the finger, gaslighting even. And I know we can do this, but it's going to take a lot of work on an individual level for people to get to that state of consciousness here. So I'm just thinking aloud, and very strange night. I did feel the energy shift. I feel tension in the air, but I was feeling really great all day long. So I know it had to do with my own personal experience recently this evening, while I was kind of in a very high state, very connected and tapped in. Somehow I got tapped right out, or not completely, but enough to cause a lot of friction within me and my energy field and tension that I'm still kind of working out of my body. And realizing that, not out of the woods here as far as my physical and energetic bodies go, when it comes to just putting myself out there around just anybody. I don't want to fall back into the trap that I had built for myself in my younger years of having that tough, thick exterior with some comedy and humor, so that, I attracted the right people into my life, but then those who had not so good intentions could be intimidated to try anything. But then that made me cold, and it's not me. It's actually not who I am at all. That was really just a defense, security of my own personal safety and security for myself, that, I was very shameful of building after a while, and it took a lot of healing and forgiveness to myself and to others to get past and over. And I know I'm not going to fall back into that, but how do we do that as a collective and not fall back in our old ways of self-protection from each other? Because we really don't need to do that if we can actually all just get along and understand that when we're engaged in those heated moments or in high intensity, that both people are actually feeling that, whether they show it or not. So it requires compassion and empathy too. It requires a lot, but it's not work once you do the work on yourself to remove all of the insecurities and all the crap that's built up within us our whole lives here on this crazy planet that we call home, Earth. So I think that's all. I'm getting really tired now, so good night.